Welcome back to another episode of Touching Base. I'm Zach Miller, joined by my co-host Vance, and we are thrilled to introduce one of the city council candidates for Ward 2 in Norfolk, Ryne Hoffart. Ryne, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. What's up?
Well, not much. Glad we could get you on. I know it was kind of a touch and go thing there to get everybody on before the primary, so kind of good to have you here.
Nope, I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to it.
Good. Now, you are originally from the area, correct? You want to kind of give us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Born and raised, never left. You could say I guess I worked in Omaha a couple days a week, but Nicole was back here, so I was never there for very long. Nope, born and raised my whole life. I don't know. I'm a pretty open guy when it comes to social media and stuff like that. Married to Nicole. She has been a true blessing during all this. She's kept me very organized. We have two absolutely wonderful children, Abel and Millie. Abel's 8 and Millie is 3. One of them's awesome. One of them's a terrorist. But no, we love being here, and we're looking forward to being here for a long time.
Good. That is a good backstory there. What kind of made you run? What made you want to put your name in the hat for all this?
It's been a thought for several years for me. I've never really had the time, or really thought that deep into it. This year was probably the most I had thought about it. There was a few minor inconveniences that that pushed me towards it, and then the final day to file, I got some phone calls from some people that I really value their opinions, and they said, we really think you should do this. And and Nicole finally looked at me, and I was complaining about something in my recliner, and she said, well, you can't fix it from here. What are you going to do about it? And that's kind of where it went to.
Okay. I would definitely keep that's a good story. Let's get into kind of vision and priorities before you kind of jump right into the meat and potatoes of the show. What is the single biggest problem in this community that local government is actually capable of fixing?
There's a lot to that. I think for me, you're going to hear a lot of words like transparency and trust and stuff like that. I really think it just comes down to communication.
You can do it right there.
And you can call it transparency if you want, but I think communication is a really, really big deal. If we communicate, we educate on what's going on, what's happening, I think it would solve a lot of the problems.
I agree with you. Is there one specific thing that you think that local government is actually capable of getting something done on? Is there one big problem that local city government, because Vance and I sometimes talk about the city government can be kind of difficult because you can't always fix all the problems that the people want fixed, right? Property taxes, things like that. So what's like your main goal in going into city government?
Honestly, I got a lot of goals, and those stay kind of fluid all the time. I mean, if you're getting to my priorities, it's kind of, I want to do infrastructure. I want to see the town grow more. There's a lot of things behind that, and housing too. So it always kind of adjusts and stays fluid like that. But as far as big problems that we can fix right now, well, I think it depends on the time of day, the time of year, and if the stars and the moon are aligning. Right,
yeah, I get you.
It all changes so fast.
That's a tough one to answer because it's you don't really know until you kind of get in there. And we'll get into more priorities here in a little bit.
Sure.
What is one thing you believe that will make what is one thing that you believe personally that will make some voters uncomfortable?
About me? Or just in general?
Yeah, just something that you maybe believe politically, or something you believe about the city politically that maybe would think or something that you believe in as far as the city that might make some voters uncomfortable. As far as city government goes.
As far as government goes, I mean, there's several projects that I've been a fan of that some people haven't been a fan of necessarily. I don't know. It kind of, again, that varies. We have such a diverse group of people, especially up in Ward 2. You got them from all walks. So it's another good one, man.
Yeah, that's a tough one. One thing that kind of got brought up in the other ones is TIF, believing in TIF or not. That might make some voters uncomfortable, right? So whether you believe in it or don't believe in it,
Well, I've been very.
but that's another tough balance too, right? Because you can believe in it and not believe in it in certain scenarios.
I have been very public about that I am a TIF supporter when it's utilized correctly. I mean, TIF's a tool, just like a hammer. A hammer can build a house or break a window. So it all depends on how it's being used and what we're using it for. But I do think it is a fantastic tool. It's one of the only tools that the state gives us for growth.
Yep.
What's the best way to make sure that it's used in the correct way and not being overused or abused per se?
I think we were on the right step with the committee. And again, this is going to kind of come back full circle to the communication and education. I think a lot of people are against TIF. Maybe they don't know exactly what TIF is. I think, and I don't know if you can just hold one big ass class out at Northeast to teach everybody or what the answer is there. But I do think that everybody knowing what it is and seeing what it can do, and then eventually we are going to see the benefits of this because we have not seen the best parts of this yet.
Correct. Do you feel that like part of the problem is some people think that like TIF doesn't cost any money? I think that argument doesn't work because there absolutely is a cost to it. Like you can't just say it's not a cost because maybe it's an unrealized cost, it's a deferred cost. That's the way economics work. It still does cost money. It's just not free money.
I mean, there's no free lunch. I mean, I think both other candidates have said it too.
Yeah.
But we have to evaluate those costs. I mean,
Correct.
TIF has brought some awesome projects to town.
I think I was just trying to say, I think a lot of the argument is people just say it's free, and that makes some
it's not free
citizens
money.
angry saying that.
It's not free money. I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
But of course,
a tool.
There's a cost to everything. It's a tool. I mean, you can spend your money on a less than desirable impact, or you can go buy a red or a yellow one. You know,
Yep.
I mean, it's all about what you're spending it on.
Correct.
I would maybe recommend putting the headphones on. It's a lot simpler to pay attention. I had to put mine on.
Did you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
things were getting a little.
I did the same thing. I couldn't quite
It
hear.
did start getting a little loud.
Yeah. So let me know that was loud enough for you.
That is a difference maker.
The better.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little easier to focus on each other, I
Yeah.
guess. I wanted to go without, but I needed it.
You saw me darting away. Shiny object, squirrel, all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
What issue do you think local government talks about too much, and what issue does it ignore?
What do we talk about too much? That local government talks about too much.
Yep.
There's obviously a lot of hot spots there. TIF being one of them.
Yep.
I don't think it's that big of an issue in other communities. I need to probably look into that a little more, but you sure don't hear it about anywhere else. And then what do we need to talk about more?
Yeah. What does it ignore?
What is it? Ignore is such a strong word. I hate using that. I think we could focus more. So I'll go with that. I do think infrastructure is a big deal because I'm a big if you build it, they will come kind of thing. Why would any new industry come here if we don't have the infrastructure to support them?
Okay.
So I do think there needs to be some focus there, and then that's kind of cyclical there because all of a sudden we have new industry, we have the infrastructure, but okay, we're going to add all these employees. Where are they going to live? So we got to focus on some housing too.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll get into that here in a minute with the housing.
Sorry, I'm probably
No,
flying way ahead.
it's good to jump ahead.
It's been that way every time.
It's been that way every time. So if you want to get into it, we can get into it now.
Wherever your little notes say there, I'm
You're
in.
good. As far as infrastructure, what's your main focus? Is it roads? Is it obviously housing is one of them?
I'm a big listener, and a real common one that keeps coming up is wastewater. And I know that there's been a lot going on, and I want to dig into that a little more. I haven't had a lot of time to do that. I think wastewater's been brought up to me at least a dozen times.
Well, it sounds like they're putting something through to fix that problem.
That's what I hear. So I hope it's enough. But again, I am very uneducated on the wastewater and the water department. But that's been a big one. Other than that, I do think that we are moving the right direction with that. Benjamin Avenue is awesome. I'm a huge fan of Benjamin Avenue. I know the underground utilities were a big deal. They were brought up, but I'm also a fan of those. So yeah, I think I kind of got away from the question.
No, you're good. I just asked what infrastructure you were planning on.
So those would probably be the big ones for me.
Well, you brought up Benjamin Avenue. Can I get my? You brought up Benjamin Avenue, and you talked about the utilities that were put in, which was needed, in my opinion.
Correct.
What about some of the beautification of it? Do you think that was "quote unquote" extra? Do you think that it was needed?
Here, we're going to go back to that thing that's probably going to make some voters uncomfortable. If the stuff's tore up already, let's make it look nice.
Okay.
Some of the stuff was probably a little much. If it's a big cost, then let's evaluate it. Let's talk about it. But why wouldn't we make it nice? I mean, it looks great down there. You remember what it looked like before?
Yeah. Next set of questions are going to be around accountability and decision making.
Boy.
How should voters judge whether you succeeded 2 years from now? And give some sort of measurable example. In your mind, how should voters judge whether you've succeeded 2 years from now?
And give a measurable. It's really hard to put a metric on a great place to live, and I think right now Norfolk is a great place to live. I've said it with every job I've taken, with every position I've taken, every hotel I've been involved with. I want to leave the place better than when I found it, and if that's a metric that can be measured somehow, or if somebody can look at that and be like, yes, he did leave it better than when he found it, then that is absolutely mission accomplished for me.
That is a tough question because it's hard to measure political, whether you
Right.
feel you did well, but voters may, you can do whatever you think is necessary to do the right thing in your mind, but voters are still going to
Right. And it's
think
one
you
of those
did
things,
something wrong.
You're never going to make everybody happy. I would love to find a common ground with everybody as much as possible, but I mean, there's always going to be somebody that disagrees or somebody that fully agrees. That's just part of it.
Yeah, definitely. Next one, tell me about a time you changed your mind on a public issue and what caused it.
I changed it after it was already done. I was very anti-Johnson Park when it started happening.
Okay.
I saw the work being done. I thought, oh my gosh, what's all this costing? What are we doing here? And then I went and ran the first 5K that went through there. I think it was during Oktoberfest. They call it the worst run ever. The Parks and Rec did a great job with that. And running through there and remembering what it was before that, I immediately changed my mind. I thought this was so needed, and they did such a great job with it. And you drive by there and you see how many people utilize it and enjoy it on a day-to-day basis, especially when the weather's warm. And then, I know between the previous staff or, elected officials, they said that it was going to bring people in. I didn't know how much I believed that. I was working in the hotels here in Norfolk at the time, and in that short time that it was open before it got cold, I would say there was 20 to 30 people that drove here and stayed the night just for the river, whatever you want to call it.
That 5K?
No, the river.
Oh, the river.
They
Gotcha.
They wanted to float down it. They wanted to kayak it. So those were people here coming and staying in our hotels, buying our gas, buying our groceries. Actually, that hotel had a grill outside, and they went and bought steaks, and they were so. You can say it wasn't much of a tourism thing, but it was to those 20 people.
Yeah, and it was definitely something to see afterwards, so I can get how that could change your mind after you go through the process, and you're like, is this really going to be worth it? Is it, so I get that.
My kids enjoy it.
There you go. Next set of questions is around budget and taxes. Would you rather slow spending growth or raise taxes to preserve services?
This one's so double-edged. Slow spending growth or...
Raise taxes to preserve services.
I mean, we have to preserve our services, right? I mean, I really like when the police or the ambulance respond to something I need. That's pretty important, and I assume it's pretty important to everybody. And the slowing the spending, slow it, refocus it. I don't know what the answer is there. I think we have done a great deal of growing, and
Is it possible to do a little bit of, you can still maintain services without raising taxes? You just have to refocus what you're spending on growth. Maybe we don't need to spend as much to grow. Like, we don't need to be putting as much into growth. You can still limit that a little bit without having to raise costs. I think the question is kind of asking a little bit, do we continue on this trajectory and the only way to continue services is to raise taxes, or do we do a little bit of cutting and refocusing and stuff like that?
I think the refocus part is probably where I'll stay with the answer there, because I'm very pro police, pro fire, and I know there's more services than just that, but that's the one I tend to focus on. So no, I don't think we need to. How'd you word it? Slow services or
Raise taxes to preserve services.
Preserve services.
Slow spending growth was kind of the questions that were asked there. And the reason I asked that question is because sometimes I feel when you look at the budget, we could get to a point where the budget, we get into a deficit because of the spending, and then have to raise taxes at some point to keep those services going, where if we just kind of curb some of the spending, kind of like Vance said, could help us a little bit, even though it might stunt a little bit of the growth.
Sure. I'm always open to looking to ways to cut spending. Now, I don't necessarily want to cut spending in some of the areas that others have said, but I'm always open to looking at those and definitely utilizing some cuts there.
Got it.
I keep getting too far away from this.
You're good. Here we can just, there you go. Got it?
Yeah, I'm good.
If a taxpayer asked, why does government always want more money? What would your honest answer be?
Because that's what the government does. Well, I guess it would, in regards to what? Are we talking in regards to property taxes, or are we talking
In general,
in general?
even city government sometimes can, we know the national government is always looking for more money, right? Where there's taxes or whatever. City government can kind of get that way too, or people can see that as something. And I know a lot of people in town ask that kind of thing. Like, why does the government always want more money through property taxes, through whatever it is? What would be your honest answer to that question? Because there never is really an answer. No politician's going to give an answer to that question.
No, there's never going to be a good answer for it.
There you
But I would tell them they have every right to ask, and I want to know too, because I'm paying the same taxes.
There you go. There you go. What is one current city project you would slow down, reconsider, or more aggressively support?
Slow down, reconsider, or aggressively support.
Yep. One current city project.
Current city.
Or you can use a past example.
Or a past example. Let's see here. You might have to list off some projects for me.
So the one that always gets brought up a lot, and we talked about it Friday night, is the first in Norfolk Avenue, the old Alco building. That
Yeah.
project. You could use that one. You could even talk about this wastewater project.
You've kind of already brought up Johnson Park. That's one.
That's
that
one.
you could use in the.
Well,
And there's
Legacy Bend.
I made my thoughts very well known on Johnson Park now, that my mind changed there. So I would say, just to stay in the same neighborhood, everything over at the old Alco building. I don't know the full story of what happened there. And I don't know if anybody knows exactly the full story except the developers. But I would like to see something happen there. I mean, we got great stuff all around it, and I'd like to see that developed.
It definitely needs it with everything going around. It's just we got to do it the correct way, right?
Correct.
What is one, this is kind of a tough one too, what is one city fee, regulation, or process you think makes it harder than necessary for people to build, improve property, or start a business? I'll repeat that for you. What is one city fee, regulation, or process you think makes it harder than necessary for people to build, improve property, or start a business?
This one's tough, and it's probably not exactly the answer that you're looking for, but my time on the planning commission here has showed me a lot. I absolutely hate the ETJ. I'm not a fan of it. It's the extraterritorial jurisdiction, okay? And that is the basically the halo around city limits. It's not in city limits, but it's not really out of city limits, that the city can still tell you where to build, how to build.
So like annex type stuff, but not quite even annex.
It's not annex. We might annex it at some point, but also we're going to tell you, you have to follow all the codes, you have to follow the zoning, everything has to be approved. We see a lot of stuff come through the planning commission that, and I get why it's there. And I guess more of my complaint is they have no representation.
Yeah.
They don't have anybody talking for them
yeah.
on city council. They don't, so.
So why do they have a role in it?
Right. So I do hate that whole process that people outside the ETJ have to go through every single process that anybody inside city limits would.
So you've been on the planning commission, right?
Yeah.
What can you tell us about your experience with that?
Love it.
That might give some people insight into kind of how you feel.
Yeah, I love it. I love being that early stage before stuff gets to city council. We've seen a lot of projects come through there. We've had to vote on some really tough ones. A lot of it's planning, zoning, conditional use permits. But we've seen everything from a guy that wanted to spot zone something to put a cow in his backyard while he's in city limits to our first tiny home district. And so you get a lot of different votes there, and you get to see a lot of different stuff. And I really value that Shane, the current mayor, anytime that comes up, he always asks for the planning commission report. So it's the city council, I do believe, values the opinion of the planning commission.
I would hope they would. They put them in place, right, for that reason.
Yeah, I mean that's the point of it. And
Yeah,
she scared the hell out of me.
you're good.
What was I saying? Just scared the hell out of me.
Stop being so loud, Jess.
It was the planning commission. So
Yeah. Anyway, no, I love it. Been lots of different votes, and the city council values those opinions, and I've been happy to be on it, and I think that's prepared me well for a run at city council here.
this might make me sound naive a little bit. Are those open meetings?
Yeah.
To the public?
They follow the Open Meetings Act.
Okay.
They're actually the morning after city council, so bright and early, so 7:30 a.m.
So Tuesday mornings?
Yep, Tuesday mornings, and we hold those, and sometimes they last till 9:30. Sometimes we're there and in and out in 12 minutes, and those are very real times that we've had recently. So,
Speaking of the Open Meetings Act, what are your thoughts on closing those or not recording those sessions, subcommittee meetings?
there's a fine line there. What are we hiding? There's nothing to hide there. Now, when it comes to like the closed city council sessions, I'm also not a huge fan of those unless it's absolutely necessary. If we're protecting personnel, stuff like that.
You can go into closed session at times. Like that's what people do. If there's privacy that needs to happen,
right,
then do that. But not all of them should not be.
Not all of it needs to be. No, and I feel like there was a stretch there for a while that they were going into a lot of them. Now, I don't know what was being said in those, so maybe they were necessary.
But now none of them are recorded.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that.
Okay. The reasoning that we are being told is that people won't open up while it's being recorded. You'll get more openness and more transparency in the meeting
From subcommittee members.
from some committee members themselves. You'll get more transparency in the meeting.
because they don't want to be on record saying what they're
Yeah.
saying.
I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, and I don't want to.
You don't need to throw anybody to the bus. You can just give your
You
thoughts
can
on
just
that.
your thoughts
Yeah.
on it, not specifically what's happening. But my opinion is politics is hard. That's what it is. It's difficult. You have to put your word out there. Like Zach and I have been doing a podcast for three years now. Like my views are out there, and they're out there forever.
not yours.
So it is what it is. Like I'm not afraid to say what I believe. You got to stand
Right.
behind
I
what
mean,
you say, what
you're-
you believe.
You're running for a position. I mean, everything's on the record. I mean, this is going to be on the record. People are going to go back and watch this. I hope maybe. I don't know. That doesn't make much sense to me. I mean, first of all, in today's day and age with today's technology, I mean, everybody is recorded or seen or whatever it may be. I don't think that that's a good enough excuse in my mind.
I would agree.
If you're not comfortable opening up and sharing your point of view, like you were asked to do by being on that committee, then what are you doing on that committee?
You should be proud of your ideas and thoughts and opinions, right?
100%.
How should Norfolk prepare for growth without losing what makes it feel like Norfolk?
I think there's an absolute balance you can have there. Norfolk has shown time and time again that as much arguing or loud opinions you see on social media and stuff, the Norfolk I always see is the Norfolk that came together when Shane Osborne went down. Everybody had yellow ribbons around their antennas. We had a couple of really nasty tragedies in, was that 2001, 2002-ish, with the bank and the helicopter. Yep. I mean, that was a nasty stretch there. And everybody really came together there. I go back to the floods. I mean, the city handled that fantastic. It was a well-oiled machine. It was awesome, and everybody came together there. That's the Norfolk that I choose to always look at when I see these loud opinions and see some of the stuff going on. And that's kind of the Norfolk that I want to represent. Because as much as I'm representing Ward 2, as a city council, you're still representing the entire city. I want to make votes for Ward 2 while keeping the entire city in mind.
Do you feel that the culture is still there, that can happen? Say we have something like that. Do you think that would bring this community together, or are we too divided now in this culture?
I absolutely do. I hope we don't have to.
Yeah.
I can't remember what podcast I was watching. He goes, I would never wish another 9/11 again, but I would kill for a 9/12.
A 9/12 was probably literally the best day in this country in my lifetime.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, you couldn't walk or look 10 feet without seeing an American flag. And I mean, that was a time where everybody came together.
Which kind of sucks that a tragedy had to bring that upon us.
Right. I hate it, and I hate the way it happens. And I hope we don't have to do that. I mean, I'd rather just avoid the tragedies altogether, but know that that's still in everybody.
It's kind of disheartening to me that, I mean, we're here in America's 250th birthday basically this year's, you would think that and my pride, my national pride is, sky high right now. It's through the roof. I think this is awesome to be alive at this time, to see 250 of our country. I think this is the greatest year possibly could ever be. And I get disheartened as some of the stuff that's going on nationally, locally, even statewide, whatever. Like, it's just frustrating. Like, why can't we all just be coming together right now?
Yep. Nope. I agree. And I think a big part of that also is, all these negative opinions have always been there.
Oh yeah, it's gonna happen.
They're just so much easier to get loud because of social media and the access that everybody has to each other nowadays. There's a guy screaming on Facebook right now about something that would have had to use a landline,
True.
Way back in the day. So I try to ignore those, and unless they're valid complaints, then
I've argued a lot on our podcast that I think social media has been a detriment. It's given people a voice that never should have a voice. That's my opinion. So maybe I'm one of those. I don't know. Obviously, I have a microphone in front of me, but yeah, same thing. Somebody feels that way about me, so.
I don't. If that helps. I mean,
perfect.
I value lots of opinions. There's, and I really do think that a very small population of negative opinions has the loudest voice.
Correct.
But
they always will.
They always do. They always will. There's some good people with some pretty quiet opinions, and they'll let you know when it's necessary.
How do you balance downtown development with the needs of established neighborhoods?
One more time.
How do you balance downtown development with the needs of established neighborhoods? It's been a hot button topic the last 2 elections. Focusing too much downtown, not maybe focusing on other neighborhoods of the city that have been around a long time.
I hate when that gets brought up, that we're focusing too much on one area or this area, or there's a way to have a balance among all that. I'm a big fan of downtown. I remember, I've been here my whole life. I remember what downtown used to look like. It wasn't great. Okay. And it's been a while, but I kind of remember what this used to be, 20 years ago. But
You didn't like the parallel parking?
I could parallel park, so it never really bothered me. You ask, never mind. I'm not going to throw her under the bus.
Were you when did you graduate?
Oh, wait.
Oh, wait. So you probably were never around for cruising.
Yes, I was.
Well, you were 16 when
I
cruising was
was.
still available?
I was.
I loved cruising. I thought that was my favorite part about downtown as a non-Norfolk person. I was from Battle
Yep.
Creek, but we came down here and still did it.
Cruising was awesome. I loved that. And me and my 95 Grand Prix with rusted out exhaust. Everybody knew I was coming.
Yeah.
I actually, that was one of the times I got into a little bit of trouble was we were standing on the street instead of on the sidewalk. So Norfolk PD had to come and let us know, that we were screwing up there. We never did it again though. So
I don't think it was ever a detriment to this. Maybe I didn't think that every time I was here, I didn't come a lot, but I didn't think it was out of control ever for
No.
us teens. I graduated in 04, so I was, 4 years ahead of where even you were probably.
yeah, I don't think it was ever a detriment. I mean, it was
fun. I mean,
you had your certain areas.
dumb kids.
We
were being dumb kids.
We
a
were
little
all
bit.
dumb, and at that point, and you had your certain areas. There was certain areas where you and I probably stayed away from, and there was.
I think most kids were somewhat marginally respectful, or I don't know how to say that, but we were pushing the limits. Let's say pushing the limits.
Good call.
Riding the
Yeah,
line.
yeah.
Kind of rode the line a little bit, but I don't think anybody specifically was trying to. At least the people I hung around with and dealt with, like we respected other people's property. We respected stuff like
100%.
that. So we weren't trying to be a detriment or a nuisance per se.
Right.
But we just tried to have a good, safe, clean, fun environment where we could all hang out as young
Absolutely.
teenagers.
Yep. No, that was a great time back then. I love it. Now look at us sitting here reminiscing about cruising Main Street.
That's the best thing to do is reminisce about old times. Maybe bring certain things back to the light, right?
I'd love to bring that back. Yeah, every time Norfolk has a cruise night, I'm like, Abel, get in the truck. I don't care that I'm driving a Ram. We don't
it's
even
fun.
have that cool of a thing. I am lucky though. My dad bought an old vintage fire truck that we get to go out and cruise
that's
around
pretty
in
sweet.
sometimes.
That's pretty cool.
It's a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
You'll see some fun stuff campaign wise coming up with that. So
Good. This one's another tough one. We've asked everybody this one. What would you do if city staff and citizens strongly disagree on a major project? Who gets more weight?
I mean, as a city staff, aren't you? And I'm going to pretend like I win here. Aren't we supposed to? And I guess city staff isn't even the right way to put it. Aren't we supposed to listen to the citizens? I mean, I think the
Definitely
citizens-
as a council,
yeah.
for sure.
I mean, I think the citizens are the ones paying the bills.
Yeah,
They carry the weight, in my opinion.
that's a good answer.
The one thing I would say to push back on that a little bit, and I'm way more agreeing with you. I'm just going to play a little devil's advocate here.
Let's go. I like it.
So like on the devil's advocate side of it is, the staff probably knows a little bit more of the nuance or the inner working sometimes. So sometimes their expertise in an issue, they may know, hey, I know this is what they want, but economically isn't feasible, or it's not feasible personnel wise, or it's not feasible certain ways. So you still have to take a little bit of weight there, but I'm 100% on your side, in my opinion. So I'm going to put that out there. There's more weight involved with the citizen, but so sometimes it's a requirement of we have to communicate that to the citizen, like, hey, I know this is what we need, this is what we want, whatever, but this is why it's not economically viable or
Sure.
personnel-wise
No,
viable.
And you're absolutely right. You don't just stop listening to one side.
Yeah.
We have to take the professionals' opinions into account. Especially when it comes to the economics and stuff. But with that being said, most of the stuff's out there. It's in the open. If you go look
Yeah.
for it, there's been a lot of numbers and a lot of stats that have been pulled up, especially for this race. That you can make yourself at least semi-educated pretty quick if you go look for the information.
Requires a little personal responsibility from the citizens
100%.
themselves.
100%. I wish more would take that responsibility.
Let's talk about housing. So we've talked about this with the other two people running in your ward as well. In your mind, what exactly can the city council do to do anything about affordable housing?
There's a few things, and we talked about this in the forum the other night. I think the council can push stuff along, encourage stuff. I think the only way to get people into some affordable housing is to build new housing, but I don't think you can build affordable housing. I don't think that's a thing. We need people moving out and moving up so people can move in. Jim and I, he went after me, so he had a better response than I did. But I said we need people moving into some of these older houses. Now, I'm not talking about a house made, in the 1800s. I don't want to move into an old log cabin with no plumbing, but an older house. I mean, I did the same thing down in an older part of Norfolk. Is there some expense added to that because you do have some improvements and some stuff to, work on? Absolutely, there is. But that was half the fun for me, I guess. That's you're going to get that home ownership with any house you buy. So I do think that the affordable housing can be there. We just need people moving up as they can.
So I kind of pushed back a little bit on Jim on Friday when we had our conversation with him. I didn't really push back, but I kind of tried to get that out there. I'm going to do it again here. A lot of people don't understand that in the 60s and 70s, the average house was 700 square feet with one bathroom. Now we're looking at 1,500 to 2,000 square feet with multiple bathrooms, and people think that's what they have to have for their first house to be an affordable house. A lot of people don't realize that our older generation started at a much smaller house, had sacrifices, had stuff like that. And I brought up like smart appliances, and Zach was right saying it's hard not to get those.
Right.
But smart everything. Everything is so smart, so the cost already is limited. It's already, that's a baked-in cost. It's going to happen no matter what because you can't even get less stuff. But you don't have to have that massive house. You don't have to have a two-car garage. You don't have to have an attached garage. You don't have to have all this other stuff. I know you want it, but that's a luxury that you have to be willing to pay for. So like everybody that says, hey, there's no affordable housing, we can't get the same houses our parents and previous generation, parents and grandparents and previous generations had. Well, they had much smaller houses back then.
Right.
So it was easier and it was more affordable. Now, granted, there is inflation costs and everything involved in that too, but maybe we as a citizen or we as a conglomerate need to start realizing, hey, we don't have to just start at the best. It's the same thing on jobs. Everybody thinks I need to have a $100,000 paying job right out of college or right out of school. Like, no, sometimes you got to work your way up through that, you know?
No, I'm fully on board there, and I don't want to say it's all these young college kids. I'm not putting the blame on anybody.
I'm not talking about that.
But some of these younger kids are, when they are going to college, have you seen some of these new dorms? Nicer than the house I'm living in now.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
So, I mean, you set those standards.
I mean, I lived
high.
in pretty shitty apartments when I was going to school back in the day.
I think I have been to a couple of those way back in the day. So,
you were probably at a party house of mine, maybe at one point. And that wasn't a great place.
Obviously, after we were, no, but there is a thought process to that. A smaller house, me and Nicole moved into a very small house on 10th Street, and it was, I had a lot of stuff to fix a lot of the times. But guess what? That also taught me a lot. So no, I do think as you move up, and Nicole and I did the exact same thing. We moved up when we could afford it.
Yep.
Now in regards to costs suck. I mean, everything sucks right now as far as costs. So not a lot seems affordable, but there's something to be said about.
I think there's a difference between expectation and reality.
Yes. There's what I was trying to go for.
So kind of going back to your answer, you said people need to move up, move out, move up, so to open up those housings. How can the city? Is there anything the city council can do to facilitate that, or is that kind of?
There's a lot of new houses going up right now. That there is a population of Norfolk that can afford those houses. That's just fact. There's some going up out here across from the ag complex. There's some going up, even in Ward 2. I think we need to encourage that development. It's almost like, gosh, if only the state offered us a tool to encourage that kind of development. I can't remember what they called that. Oh, TIF. Yeah, that's right. So I do like encouraging that development, and there's a trickle down effect there. I really
think people
so.
need to. I like using TIF for a second home as opposed to a first home.
Nope. I don't like that. Now, if we're taking a dilapidated piece of property and making it better,
But they're not
and
going to
it's-
build a
and it's
first
getting-
person's home.
and it's getting it paid back. We don't know that.
Going back into where we just talked about moving up, you just brought it up yourself, talking about like kind of going back into Zach's conversation, moving people out of some of those first owner homes and getting into those a better home, a bigger home which would open up the cheaper first person home is what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
like
that's-
getting into
Yeah,
the
he's saying use the TIF for the second.
use
home.
the TIF for the
Yes,
because
okay,
it's a
sorry.
bigger because they're already going to
we're
build
buying somebody's second house. I'm
No,
like, no, I don't
no,
think we're going
no,
to
that's
build
not what I'm
somebody's
talking about.
vacation house in
I'm talking about
Norfolk.
because
the homes for those people to move up and
because
move
they're not
out
going to
into.
build
Okay.
a smaller home, right?
Okay.
It's just
Yes.
not.
Right.
You're not going to get a builder to build a small home.
Right.
So some of those older small homes, which I just talked about, these homes were the average home was 700 square feet
Right.
back in the 1970s,
Right.
and now we're at almost 2,000 square feet. So that's where I'm talking about right
But
now.
Vance, it's one bathroom, detached garage, if there even is one. It's
It is what it is, man.
I didn't have a garage on 10th Street. I just got a new pickup, or newer to me, and a hailstorm was coming. It was that 2019 hailstorm, and I was trying to get to a car wash. I didn't make it.
Yeah, nature's going to have problems. Everybody's going to have to deal with that. And then also on top of that is networking is huge, right? So your network is huge. So like people need to spend time networking with people because like you just talked about this. That's what this area. I talk a lot about the area because I'm obviously not from Norfolk, but the area, Northeast Nebraska area, I think there is a million great people in this area, just great people. So like if you build your network, people are more than willing to help you out. There's farm shops, there's stuff, people, I'm blessed. I've built my network and I have people I can call at all times that if I need something, you know what I mean? Not that I always need something, but maybe I need something. Shit, yesterday I needed something. I was in a place and I had one call to make and my brother made a bunch of calls for me to get me personal help, because I thought I ripped my finger off type of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
networking is a massive thing that people need to spend a lot more attention to, too. Going back into the personal responsibility of citizens, too.
Yeah, and I've been same way. I've been blessed with an awesome network, and I've met some great people. A lot of that comes from the different jobs I've worked. I've been.
But it doesn't come free. You have to build
You
those
absolutely
yourselves.
have to put that work in. But between hospitality, I've been a truck driver. I've worked in juvenile corrections. I've been a car salesman. I've been, I've killed bed bugs for a living. There's, I've been insurance. There's so many things, and and going off of that, that's also taught me that to deal with all sorts of people. There's people from all different walks that I really enjoy dealing with. So no, that's again, yeah, to agree with that point.
We did have a few questions brought up at one point, going back to the housing. What are your thoughts on attempting to do any kind of rent control?
I think that I think I'm not educated enough on that to answer.
Okay.
With integrity.
I guess I'll just put it this way. If there were a city ordinance that could be put into place where landlords could only raise rent a certain percentage a year,
No.
is that something that you would support?
No.
Okay.
I am not a big fan of government having that much control. I think that if we got the vacancy rate up in this town, the simple laws of supply and demand will help fix that. Eventually, if we have a bunch of rentals sitting open, okay, now we're shopping for who has the cheaper rent.
Yeah. What is there anything else as far as going for the city council position that you want to get out to people before we get into kind of the fun questions that we maybe didn't touch on?
I will tell you a story. After church, we stopped at Hy-Vee, me and Nicole and the kids, and this old boy recognized me. I wish I would have remembered his name. One of them guys that goes there for coffee, and he brings his own coffee mug. He's had the same coffee mug for a long time. And he started asking me questions, and he recognized me from signs or postcards or whatever it may have been. And he looks at me, he goes, "Sit down." I said, "Okay." And Nicole and the kids went walking through, and he was asking me a bunch of questions, and he just kind of listened, and he'd ask a few more. And then he gets and he goes, "You know what? Perspective's a lot more valuable than experience in this." He goes, I really like where you're at, and he goes, "I really like your perspective on that." That hit, and that really meant a lot to me. That's one of those where a guy gives you advice that's sitting there bringing his own coffee cup to Hy-Vee. You take that damn advice.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what you want your some of your politicians to be like anyway, right?
Yeah.
Is their voting for them for their perspective, not how much the experience they've had.
Right.
Vance and I are pretty solid on term limits, so I don't care about the experience.
Same.
It's the perspective that you're bringing to the
Same.
table, right?
And experience. You've had a long time to fix it. Why isn't it fixed?
Well,
That kind of thing.
there you go.
So, and I'm not pointing fingers at any certain person there.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe in those term limits as well.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into some little fun questions. These first ones are going to be our name it questions. So you have to just blurt the first thing out, that comes out of your head with these questions, okay? Name one city program that deserves more money.
Deserves more money. Economic development.
Ooh, you know what?
Ooh, somebody. Yeah, there it is.
I knew I forgot something.
Got him.
Okay, we'll get back into these in just a second. So there is a position
Fill it.
Okay. So you want it filled as fast as possible, as the way it sits.
Hold on, not fast as possible.
Okay.
I want it done accurately with some thought,
Okay.
but I think it needs done.
Okay. As it sits the way it is, as the program sits with the city paying for it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now, we need to keep in mind the city's not the only one paying for it. We get matching funds from the county. So
Either way, the government's paying for it.
yes. So the city dollars contributed that were 200 and some thousand. And that was another thing at the forum the other night where no, the budget for economic development is this and that. No, the city contributed 200 and some thousand for economic development. Mm-hmm. I forgot my phone at home, so I don't have a lot of my notes.
You're good. So for those of us like Vance and I who are, more or less spendy, let's not spend government money no matter where it comes from.
Okay.
Okay. So to somebody like us, if you're trying to get us to get behind you on this, what would you tell somebody like that?
On economic development?
Sure.
On any type of spending, but
Any type of
also,
spending, but yes, on this specific topic, yes.
On this specific one.
Yeah,
Well,
we're against spending government money completely on something like this,
Sure. Since
unless we're cutting somewhere
unless
else.
we're cutting somewhere else.
Since we're here on the topic of economic development, for that 200 grand and whatever I really wish I had my notes because I did the math on it. It was 0.14% of the city's budget that economic development took, and they found over 17 million in grants, and not all of them were matching grants because I know there's a big issue with matching grants and stuff like that. But they found 17 million in grant money. I know that. Again, this is one of those things that's hard to put a metric on. I think the crush plant. I am almost positive the crush plant is here because of economic development. Mm-hmm. How do you put a number on that? Do you need a cut there, or is bringing in more good enough for you? That kind of thing. I'm a big believer in let's let the thing work until it doesn't. And right now, I think it's working. I think it's working well. They are one of the few programs or departments or whatever to bring in that much over a short period of time.
What are your thoughts on maybe mixing it together and having some of the Norfolk businesses chip in instead of pulling so much money? I'm not saying it's a lot of money, but instead of, let's say half the funds that go into that from Norfolk businesses instead of the government money.
I think let's let it work until it doesn't.
Gotcha. But don't fill it fast. Get the right person in
Get the
there.
right person. I've been a part of that. I was in charge of hiring during COVID, so I know what turnover and how much it costs you to hire new employees. So let's make the right decision off the bat.
Okay. Perfect.
My old man's sitting over there with big old eyes, like, yeah, I remember.
Okay, now we'll get back into the name it question. So
right.
you said economic development for the
Economic
first one. So
development.
when I said name one city program that deserves more money, you said economic development.
Yep.
Now name one that deserves less.
Okay. Oh, I get to explain, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I am not a Parks and Rec hater. Okay. I love our Parks and Rec department fully. Okay. I love Johnson Park. I love everything they do. I love the programs. My son was in the skateboard class. They do a great job. I think we could evaluate some smaller parts of Parks and Rec. Like, why are we not planting flowers that grow back instead of planting new ones every spring? Why are we watering things in the middle of the roundabouts with a water truck? Why are we paying someone to do that? There's lots of small things because I think a lot of small cuts could equal one big cut. So again, Parks and Rec, I love you. I love everything about Parks and Rec. I think some of that stuff could be evaluated.
Yeah, I think as things develop, such as Johnson Park, we forget that there's going to be other departments that are going to take more money and more time and more people.
Well, there's also
Right.
an inherent cost. There's a
too.
yearly cost. Every
Yeah.
time there's an extra cost. Like a lot of people think of the initial cost of a development, and they don't look at the long-term ramification of how much it's going to cost, what maintenance cost is going to be, what repair cost is going to be, stuff like that.
Right.
So.
I mean, and there's a lot that boils down there. You know, you got to look at the extra wear and tear on mowers and extra miles put on vehicles and all that stuff. Stuff y'all got to figure in. But yeah, that's where I sit on that one. So I'm not a Parks and Rec hater. I love it, but
People don't understand. We make you name one, so
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah. And I'm not-
it's
I'm
not
not
that you
gonna- I'm not
hate
gonna-
it. It's just that's the one you want to spend less money.
These
on.
are gotcha questions.
Yeah.
I got you. Gotcha.
I'm not gonna skate. I'm not gonna skate around.
Just
any
so
of them
everybody
either.
knows, Ryan hates Parks and Rec. So.
Okay, name one recent city government decision you would have voted differently on.
Well, they tabled it, so I don't know. Can I go off on one that I actually voted on planning commission that went to
Sure,
city council?
yeah.
The tiny home district over there. They want to do one right across from Johnson Park,
Yep.
where that trailer park used to be. I don't think that's a great area for it. I was the only one on planning commission that thought that way. It got to city council and they've tabled it because of that.
You said you thought it was a good.
No, I don't think it's.
I don't think it's
a good. And the way some of that reads, I think we need to look into how that tiny home district is written because it needs to be airtight. We don't have one of those yet. We don't have. That would have been the first district, and I think it all needs to be airtight. And we need to make damn sure it's perfect on the first one, so we're not chasing our tails on.
So the way I look at this tiny home thing, and I'm going to put my opinion out there at this point, because you're literally taking a trailer park that was small homes and putting tinier homes of the same type in the same spot. I don't get the logic on this one.
Yeah,
Just by the city itself, I
and you know
they thought it
this
was an
is-
eyesore before. Now we're going to put even smaller homes
right
there.
Well, quality's probably better than it was. Just
I
by,
get it, the
quality
by
might be better.
manufacturing by manufacturing
I get it.
standards, everything's better now.
Now, this is where it gets tricky because on the planning commission, we were just voting for the zoning. We're not voting on what's it going to look like, what's it doing here, what's it doing there. We were just voting on the zoning. Now, the next residential you have is across the street over towards Johnson Park, okay? And then you have industrial butting up to it. You have commercial butting up to it. So I don't think, as far as zoning goes, that was a good spot for it. We can go on and on about comparing it to a trailer park or the tiny homes. I know that they were.
I'm not
going
against
to-
tiny homes. I was just saying we're putting the same thing back in the same spot. Is all. I was
I see what you're saying.
The biggest part of it that I didn't like, other than the zoning issue with it, was it was going to be leased land that you put the tiny home on, and I know financing has been very difficult for people to get when it comes to that. I know they're struggling with it at Andy's Lake, and some of those other people. If you don't own the land, then what's to say that lease gets canceled, and then what do you do?
Yeah, I get it. All right, these next one are pick one questions. Now these are another one of those kind of gotcha moments. You got to pick one or the other.
Would you rather?
Yeah, think more would you rather on these. Okay. And I will say everybody so far has skated around these ones 100%.
I'll do my best not to.
That's gonna happen.
So I'm just going to preface this with these aren't his full opinions. He has to pick one or the other. We're making him do it. This is a fun podcast. This isn't true, whatever you want to call it.
Let somebody else tell you it's fun. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so these are our pick ones. Would you rathers, I guess.
Okay.
Would you rather lower taxes or maintain services if you can't do both?
Oh, Jesus. All right. I think there's a way to do both. I would rather maintain services. You know, when looking at my property taxes on my average house, you know, I think I have a 220,000 is what it said. So that comes out to 550 some a year. I'm pretty sure I've used $550 worth of city services. So, yeah, I want to maintain the services. Like I said earlier, if I'm calling the police, I really, really want them to show up.
There you go. Finally, we got an answer.
Well, I'm the first one to answer
You're
that
the
one?
first one to
Let's
answer.
go.
Usually we get balance on all these.
Yeah. Look at that. Applause even.
All right, next one. Growth or preserving neighborhood character if they collide?
I think I think there's a way to do both, but if I have to pick one, which you told me I do, we got to grow.
Grow. Okay.
Stagnation will kill the city.
There you go. Faster development approvals or stricter review?
Faster development approvals. Let's go. Let's get them done.
Less red tape.
Build them safe, but get them done.
Okay. Ooh, this one's tough. More law enforcement spending or more infrastructure spending?
How do you pick that? Come on, man. All right, I will pick one, but I want to tell you first that I like law enforcement spending. So I'll tell you a little story. I went on a ride along with James Kelly when I was 16 years old. I did the math on that last night, how long ago that was, and I almost threw up. And then a few weeks ago, I went on a ride with Officer Vondero too. Seeing the differences in technology from the cars, you know, we were in an old Impala when I was with Officer Kelly, and now we're in Explorers. The difference in tech, what they wear, the tech available to them. Obviously, toured the police station expansion. That was really cool. I'm very pro law enforcement, and I think if there's any more cool shit that comes out, they need to have it. So I'm very pro spend more on law enforcement. But infrastructure, I think we also need to have happen. So let's get the infrastructure built, and then we can revisit spending more on the police as time comes.
It's an okay answer. You want the infrastructure first, and then put the law enforcement after.
Yes,
I get it.
And then let's buy them the cool stuff.
There you go. Transparency or speed?
Transparency.
If more of one means less of the other.
If more of one means less of the other. Transparency.
Okay.
I like stuff to get done. I like stuff to get done fast. You're sitting next to one of the most impatient people.
Vance?
Okay, two of the most impatient people.
Okay.
But no, I think Norfolk deserves to know what's going on, and I think they need to be communicated with and educated on what's happening and why decisions are being made. That being said, if I were to be elected, I don't want to be one of those guys that makes a decision and tells you this is why you should think this way. No, I want to listen to everybody. I want to form my opinion off of everybody in Ward 2. I'm not going to tell you why I think this way, and that's why I voted. Let's hear your opinion. I'm going to vote that way. I want to be a talking head for Ward 2.
There you go. That works. Here in a minute, we're going to open it up to any audience questions. If anybody wants to come up, ask questions to Ryne. But I'm going to ask my last one while we're kind of waiting for people to come up. We'll have a mic up here if you guys want to come ask your question. Last question. What does listening to the people mean when the people disagree with each other? What does listening to the people mean when the people disagree with each other?
I think common ground always comes to mind when you're listening to everybody and you get a lot of different opinions. You're going to be able to find somewhere in the middle, or at least formulate a really good opinion on what everybody's thoughts are, whether they're disagreeing or not. And I think the same thing goes for city council. We're not all supposed to agree. Again, I said we, like this is predetermined. It's not. I know I need the votes. Please vote. But the council's not supposed to agree. You're supposed to disagree. That's what makes a great council. It's the same reason that I like joining some of the boards that I have joined. The boards are supposed to disagree. You're supposed to butt heads once in a while because I think that makes for better results.
Disagreement cultivates compromise.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of things that can be compromised on that would be very beneficial.
In my opinion, agreement causes chaos. So
Sometimes.
If everybody just keeps agreeing all the time, it'll cause chaos.
You don't agree with your wife all the time?
No, we do not. We disagree so much that we're so loving with each other at the end of it. It's so great.
I found it's better to just agree and shut your mouth.
Yeah, that might be the case too.
Is that what I'm missing? I must be missing that.
But I do have one more. Sorry. If everybody says that they support transparency, which you say you do, why do the citizens still feel out of the loop sometimes?
Man, starting to sound like an old boss of mine. Communication, because being transparent and being in communication are two very different things in my mind. You can sit there and say, "Yep, let's put all this out," but we need to communicate it better. We need to let citizens know what's happening, what's going on, and let's brag about how transparent we are. We're transparent because we are doing this. We're transparent because that communication thing is just huge in my mind.
Now, I personally think there's a lot of communication that goes on. I think it does take some responsibility from the voters
I would
to
agree.
go and get the information too.
I would agree, but
it's a two-way street.
But also, is it the easiest thing for the voters to get a hold of?
I mean, in my personal opinion, I think so.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think that there needs to be more personal responsibility because I'm big on personal responsibility. I've said it a ton on our podcast. I think everybody has their own personal responsibility to be involved in politics. It's their civic duty, whether it be voting or paying attention to what's happening in the city or local area or wherever you are, whatever's happening in the government. You need to be aware of what's happening and know how to go find that. Whether it's actually explicitly told to you how to get it. I mean, everybody's got this thing in our pocket. It's not hard to search stuff. It's not hard to figure out how to go do something.
Sure.
So I feel like there's a massive responsibility on the citizenship and the electorate to figure out how to find that type of information.
So this isn't me challenging. This is me asking for just more info on that. Do you think it's as easy for other people as it is for guys like you and me? I mean,
it should be.
Have you ever tried teaching an 80-year-old man how to use an iPhone?
I expect that though. I expect you to be able to. I mean, yeah, but it goes back to networking. It goes back to having people around you, cultivating friendships, cultivating business partnerships, cultivating people that can help you in that reason. So I think there is a personal responsibility to put the effort in. If you get stonewalled at some point, then I see where it's a problem.
Sure.
Right? But you have to have a personal responsibility also to go do it. Do I think we've already talked about the closed subcommittee meetings not being recorded. That's a problem in my opinion. I don't think subcommittee meetings should be not recorded. I think everything should be recorded. Now, do you have to put that out to everybody? No, but it needs to be available to be heard if you want to get that information.
Right. I agree with that to a point. I do. I think communicating the processes on how to find the stuff is kind of where I go. I know there was something that got brought up about a Freedom of Information Act request the other day, and they didn't know how to do it. So I think more steps, and
that kind of goes into the education system, which I'm massively against. A lot of our education system, I think, is lacking from the elementary all the way through. I think not enough people are being taught civic. I don't think we teach enough civic courses throughout the development of the human being existence, especially American.
We could go down a rabbit hole there,
But I mean, that's my personal opinion. I think it's lacking.
Sure. But no, I think educating and the communication part to answer the question.
Got it. Anything else? Any last thoughts you'd like to get out to everybody listening? Does anybody want to come ask a question?
Not a single one.
All right.
Anything we didn't get to that you want to put out to the voters?
Well, we got planning commission. We got
economic development. We got housing.
I'm a chamber ambassador. Support your chamber. Not off the top of my head.
Okay. Any last thoughts you want to just get out to the?
Why should people vote for you?
Why should people vote for you,
Why
sir?
should people vote for Ryne? On the personal side of it, I don't know. I know when I was on your guys' podcast a couple years back, we talked about. I can rope a runaway donkey with an extension cord. So if that's any reason to vote for me.
That's thinking outside of the box.
Yeah.
You can figure something out.
Yep.
Exactly. See, I'm resourceful. No, I'm not a politician. That is the biggest thing that I think people should vote for me for that reason. Not offering promises. I'm offering a steady hand with hopefully some solutions, and I want to take Norfolk into the future. I'm just your average neighborhood bald guy that's out mowing his lawn and barbecuing. I just genuinely.
When are you going to give us barbecue? Now that you missed out.
That got canceled. So my plan is, and I don't want to get the.
I've had your barbecue down in Lincoln. I had a tailgate,
You had
so
that
it was good.
huge batch of ribs that day. That
Yeah,
was
that was
such
good.
a good batch.
They were good.
He's sitting over there smiling. He remembers them.
Yeah, they were good.
My plan is, if we get through the primary, I'm going to have a huge barbecue. Let's do that. So, yeah, no, I want to, and I want to have a big barbecue and a chance to meet everybody. I want to be out there for hours. I want a huge line waiting for a pork sandwich. So, follow my Facebook page. Well, if we get through the primary here, I'll definitely announce when you guys can come try some of it. So yeah. Anyways, yeah. I'm like I said, I'm not the politician. I'm just your average guy. I'm as soon as I hear my neighbor mow his lawn, I'm going out there to mow. So I'm just the same as the next guy. I just genuinely want what's best. I want to leave it in a better place than where I found it, and I want Norfolk to be awesome for my kids, for my grandkids, and for my tiny family and all the families to come in the future.
I feel bad we didn't bring this up on the other two with the other two candidates. My apologies to them, but I know we talked about it a lot 2 years ago in the 2024 races on the Meet the Candidate series, but everybody's cell phone number gets put on the city page once you become a city council, and that was kind of a big thing that we talked about back then. I completely forgot we talked about that, but you're more than willing to be available and to have a conversation with your constituents, right?
It's on my Facebook. It's on literally everything.
I'm talking when you become a city council, but yeah.
Yeah. So that goes back to the communication thing. I always have my phone. Well, I say I always have my phone on me. On the one day I forget it. Yes. So if I have a
We had Joel nervous.
Yeah, exactly. I ran out of the house like my ass was on fire. So no, I'm putting. Even on my postcards here, I got my cell phone number on there. And I'm gonna keep it that way. Even my Facebook page, I got some traction on there. The followers are rolling in, which I appreciate all the follows. If I were to win, I want to keep that open and keep that as a line of communication. That hey, this vote's coming up. What do you guys think? Ward 2, sound off. Let's hear that.
Gotcha.
And if you're not a big Facebook person, shoot me a text, shoot me a phone call, shoot me an email. I don't care. I want to hear it. I want to stay in contact.
That's good to hear. And then don't forget, May 12th, right?
May 12th.
So Ward 2 has three people going for the spot. Only 2 can get through. So if you would like to vote for Ryne, that's the time to do it, to get him through get him through the primary.
Abel calls it the elimination round.
The elimination round.
Yep.
The elimination chamber, yeah. So make sure you get out. We had a very low turnout, I think, a couple years ago in the primary, and I think we need to get more people out because it does matter, especially in races like this where one person does get kicked out of the race.
Correct. It's not to cut you off there,
You're
but
good.
it's looking at some of the stats and pulling some of the info from the county. It's bizarre how guys our age are the ones that most of these decisions are affecting. Mm-hmm. They had the lowest turnout.
Yeah.
I absolutely, it blew my mind. I hate it. So there's a very large population of the older generation that's showing up every time, and I think we need to get some of this younger generation out to vote and to make their voices heard. Voting is far and away. I haven't missed one since I turned 18. But that's just me.
I've done every primary and every general since I've been 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I think I might have missed a primary. I was out of town one time, but that's the only one I've ever missed.
That happens. Well, if you got nothing else to get out to the people, we'll probably wrap it up right there.
All right.
You good with that?
I'm good with that. I don't think I have anything else.
All right. Well, thanks to my co-host Vance Neidig. Without him, the show would not be what it is. Huge thanks to Ryan. Really appreciate you making time for us today.
I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate the avenue to speak to everybody, and I appreciate everybody for coming out. And it's been awesome.
Been a lot of fun. Keep on the lookout for more great episodes.
1 second. I do want to give a thanks to Andrew, Brandon, and
Yes.
Jess and District Table and Tap for allowing us to be here too.
Oh, I thought we were in my basement. Sorry. No, yeah.
I just want to give those guys a
District
huge
Table and Tap. Yeah, huge thank you to Andrew, Jess, and Brandon for letting us kind of take over a table here. And they are getting a little busy now. So
and all the workers here. Been
and all the
great.
workers. Yeah, everybody here. They're always they always support the show. So it's great to be here.
It's my favorite lunch spot.
There you go. We'll keep on the lookout for more great episodes, and we'll see you guys next time.